Okay, so looks like we are live, and everybody, please let me know uh, because sometimes I go live and I don't have sound. So just give me a thumbs up that we have sound, um, because here's the big news in my neck of the woods is we had a really bad storm. So I have a lot to tell you all. 'Cause I wasn't on last week. I was on a trip to New Orleans, which was really fun. And there's actually one of my newest YouTube shorts is a little video interview I did with Doreen Ketchens, who's the uh, amazing New Orleans clarinetist who plays on Royal Street regularly down in New Orleans. So anyway, I was in New Orleans, and then so I can talk more about that if you all have questions about that. But I we flew home Monday, and I'm hearing a little bit about some bad weather that's coming into Philadelphia, and as our plane lands, everything's fine, and so we get picked up and we're on our way home. As we're driving home, this crazy storm rolls in. I guess I'd started to see on alerts that there was a storm rolling in, and boy, it was a doozy. We had really, I mean, it was tornado warnings and all that. I don't know if they said a tornado actually touched down, but the different regions, different neighborhoods in our whole Philadelphia region, some got hit pretty hard, and one of them that got hit the hardest actually happens to be my neighborhood where I live. Dennis, I don't know if I told you about this. I'll bring Dennis in on this convo. Hi, Dennis.
Hey, how you doing?
Hey, so we didn't talk about this, but how did you fare with that crazy storm?
Our our development is usually really good with that, but around in the area, because we're up in that Montgomery area that often gets hit. There were
Right.
a lot of damage.
Yeah, and I don't know if Joe told you that we had flown in and we beat the
Yeah,
storm by just about 45 minutes. It's
and
crazy
that
to
was a good thing,
yeah,
believe me.
it's crazy to think. But
Yeah,
we were in Havertown and it blew through and it was bad, but it wasn't like devastating. And I drive home to my neck of the woods, and it really seemed to me like a tornado had gone through. They said it wasn't, but there were trees down everywhere. There were signs ripped off of the stores around my house. There were the traffic light was twisted and blown down.
yeah.
Yeah, and I had no power. This is the whole long story to tell the fact that I had no power because I had to. So that's why I had to reset all of my equipment here. But we had no power for. I think it came back Thursday night. It was a couple.
Wow.
It was a couple nights. Yeah. So anyway, that's my story. But I really lucked out. My particular house where I live didn't have any damage to it. Nothing. No trees fell right around us. But boy, it really. If you drive around my neighborhood, it's probably some of the worst storm damage I've ever seen. Honestly, in person. So it's wild. Anyway, glad everything. Dennis, I'm glad everything worked out well for
Oh yeah.
where you all live.
We were like I said, we're the way our thing was built with these 55 plus communities. All the cable and stuff like that is all underground.
Uh huh.
They put it in underground before it is, so we're not, you know, if the
It's not
poles don't really involve that.
right. If a pole
And
goes
none of the
down, it's
trees there's no trees right close to the house. They're
yeah.
farther enough away they couldn't hit.
Good.
So
Lucky.
yeah.
That's fortunate for everybody. So
Oh yeah.
well, we have some nice comments coming in the chat. So I'm going to dive right in to say hello to some people, and we'll do of course. We'll do some requests if you want me to play a song or teach you a bit of a song, or I really love to answer questions, you specific questions you might have about playing instruments, any instrument you want. I can pretty much answer musical questions on just about any instrument. Um, well, that's a whole nother conversation. I get asked often, how many instruments do I play? Right? Well, I get that question a lot, and I've answered that question before. When you go to music school to be a music teacher, you have to pick one instrument that is your main instrument, and that's your primary instrument. And that instrument you are really expected to play at a professional level. And then to varying degrees, descending, down the list of all the instruments. If you graduate with a music education degree, you have to be versed, familiar with all the instruments in the typical music teaching settings. So I know how to play pretty much every band instrument, but it's kind of a descending order list of where my most expertise is. So anyway, let's dive right in. So we do have a request. The first one in right away was our friend, the official. I have to turn on my comments. Here we go. There we go. Trying to get this to come in a little bit stronger. There we go. Okay. So our good friend who's here pretty much every week, the official Pug channel, Shrek, and already has a request. Thanks. It's fun. It's great to be back. And requesting that I play Chef de Chef. So this piece here. So I will get to playing some songs in a few minutes, but your request is noted. I'm going to say hello to some more people. George is here. Hi, George. And I like your Manchester City logo there. And Harina Rayanan. Okay, hello. And let me know if there's any way you'd particularly prefer me to pronounce your name, or if there's a name you prefer me to call you. But Harina Rayanan says hi. So hello to you. And Stephen is here. Stephen Dudas. I'm doing great. Thank you, Stephen. It's been busy. So I don't know if you mean it's been busy for you or for me. It has been very busy for me. Not only am I was just getting back from that whole New Orleans trip and all that stuff, but we're getting ready for marching band season. So I don't know please let me know in the chat if any of you are playing in your school bands or have anything going on that way. Here in the southeastern Pennsylvania area that I live in, school starts September 5th. I think that's the day after Labor Day. And which is, I know a lot of places in the country start a lot earlier. In fact, in New Orleans, folks had already started school when we were there, the kids. So they start earlier, but they end earlier than we do. They end like in May. So band camp starts on Monday, 2 weeks before the start of school. So very busy prepping for that. Myriad Bayat. Hello. I've been wanting to ask if you have any advice on learning how to... Oh, okay. I'm going to assume that you're asking double tongue. Double tongue is maybe what you meant to say. I can show you the method that is taught for how to double tongue, but I'm going to fess up right away that I am not particularly skilled at double tonguing because I don't really practice it. But let me tell you the technique. So everyone, when you're tonguing normally, we tongue with the syllable tu, T-U. Sometimes people say do, so let's say tu or do. It's either a stronger T sound or a softer D sound. So tu or do. Sometimes people spell that T-U, tu, or T-O-O, tu. Depends on your preference. So tu, 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 tu. So I'm going to do that regular single tonguing tu, 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 tu on the flute, like you asked. I'm going to do it on, let's do the note D. See if I'm in tune. Do. Pretty close. Okay, normal tonguing, tu, 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 tu. So, if we get into music that's getting faster and faster and faster, right? It gets to a point where, depending on how much you've practiced your articulation, you just can't tongue any faster, right? So the solution is we have something called double tonguing, and what we do is we do the first note. If there are groups of two, like say you have very fast eighth notes or very fast 16th notes, they're groups of 2 or 4. We do tu for the first one and the syllable ku, the letter K, for the second one. Tu ku tu ku tu ku tu ku. And because you're sort of rocking your tongue back and forth, tu ku tu ku tu ku tu ku, you can get almost, double the speed, right? Now this is something you really have to work on. Right? So it's like I said, it's not something I've worked on a whole lot. So there's a lot of people out there who can tongue a lot who can double tongue a lot cleaner than I am right now. But this is the idea. Tuku, tuku. So like anything else in music, if you want to get good at double tonguing, you start at a slow tempo with a metronome. Start at a tempo that you can really play at with perfect technique. And then you gradually increase the tempo of your metronome, and you push yourself to right to the edge of where you're going as fast as, you know, you're right to the edge of where you feel technically comfortable. And that's where you're going to develop your skills, right? Practice that for a while. You might get kind of top out at a certain tempo, and then the next day you come back to it, and you'll be able to push yourself maybe a little bit further. So that's double tonguing. If your notes are in threes, like triplets, you can do you do a 3-note pattern, 2-ku-2, 2-ku-2. So it's a 2-ku-2, T-K-T, 2-ku-2, 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 like that. And that's how we double tongue. Okay. Great question. I hope that made sense. Let me know if that made sense, everybody. Morphin says hello. Hi, Morphin. Another friend of ours who's here very often, just about every week. Here's another request. Okay, so I'm going to play in a few minutes. I will do this request. You are my sunshine. Now, this says You Are My Sunshine from Annabelle. I'm not sure I know specifically what Annabelle is. I know the song You Are My Sunshine. So I'm going to, well, I'll look it up, but I'm going to, for now, assume that it's is that the song? Morphin, can you let me know? Is it do-do-do-do? Is that the song that you were referring to? I can do that pretty easily. Okay. And we have more requests coming in. Let me, all right, so I see some great questions coming in. But let me do a request. Okay, so because our friend from Pug Channel was in first person in on our chat, I do want to do a bit of this song. So Pug Channel / Shrek is a Legend always gives me these nice challenges, okay? So this is the song that Pug Channel that is you are requesting. Let me turn up my sound a little bit. Here's the song. Let me, here we go. And do I have a, oh, I forgot to plug in my, I need to plug in my HDMI. Okay. All right, so I'm going to teach that melody right there. That seems like the catchy part of the melody that maybe you're asking for. So, I have to find the right key here. What key we're in. So we're figuring out a song by ear with no sheet music. We have to kind of play around and try to find what sounds like what I call the home bass, or the resting tone. You hear it called sometimes. Where is the center, the home bass note? Some people might say it's do. So let me hum here. That's the resting tone. Bum. That's where the song sounds like it's at rest. So what note is that? You know what? I thought it was a B in my head, and I second guessed myself, but that's what it was. It was a B. So that's a D on the piano. Okay, let me try to get this melody here. So we're in B minor. Here we go. Ba 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 ba. Okay. That's the first part. Ba da da da. That's a nice little tune. Okay. Yeah. And then it repeats. Let me listen to it again. My little thumbnail is catching my... You don't have a little bit of a tiny little chip on your thumbnail and it kind of annoys you? That's what I have. All right. Anyway. Okay. Ba 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 ba. It repeats. Da 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 da. Woo! Then it changes. Da 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 da. Goes to like the flat 6 of the minor. Okay. Something like that. If I spent some more time, if I had like a whole 15 minutes to spend on that, I could figure a little bit more of it out. But that's a cool tune. So thank you, Pug Channel, for requesting that. Let's scan down here our requests and questions, and I will do some more playing. Let's see. I want to find out from our friend if yes, myriad. Yes, that was a typo, the double tonguing. So let me know how that that answer makes sense to you. The tuku. Let me know if that made sense. Stephen Dudas, it's been busy for you. School just started. Okay, so Stephen, I'm just curious. You don't have to give me like a specific town or anything, but I'm just curious. What part of the world are you in? Like what is it? Are you in the Northeast or where I'm living? Where I live, school starts. Some schools are starting the week before Labor Day, but we never start earlier than that. I'm starting the week after Labor Day. And I'm also waiting for my friend to come back in and let me know if, I can just teach you. I can just teach you that You Are My Sunshine. That was the other request. Let me answer a few more questions, and then I'll do the You Are My Sunshine request. George. Hi, Dr. Selfridge. You said you met Doreen. I wanted to know what was the most interesting piece of advice that she gave. So if you watched the video, I don't know if you guys watched, I did a YouTube short with just a little snippet of some of the things that Doreen talked about. I thought one of the coolest things that she said, well, first of all, I didn't really fully know her story, that she was a very accomplished classical clarinet player first, right? Well, first of all, okay, it was really interesting. She told me how much she treasures her time playing in her school band, that she said a couple times to me how music saved her life, and that it was such an important part of her childhood being involved in the school band. So that was really cool for me to hear. Secondly, I didn't really know that she was a accomplished, prior to learning getting into jazz, I should say. She was more of an accomplished classical clarinetist, and then she told this, she was funny when she told the story that she met her husband. She says, I fell in love. I said, how did you get into jazz? And she said, I fell in love with a tuba player. Dennis, I don't know if you heard this story through Joe. Yeah. But, one of the questions I asked Doreen was, how did you get into jazz? And she laughed and said, well, I fell in love with a tuba player, and we started, spending time together. And right away, one of the first times we were spending time together, he said, I've got a gig tonight and you're going to play jazz with me. So that's one way to do it. And she said that her really, I thought, amazing piece of advice that is in my short, in that little video, is you've got to just, it's a lot of folks when they start getting into playing jazz, the most difficult part is breaking away from feeling like you have to be dependent on the sheet music and play every note that's on the sheet music. And as soon as you start to break away from that, you start to feel embarrassed or like, oh, that sounded bad. Oh, that sounded bad. I'm afraid to do that. I'm afraid to sound bad. I'm afraid to play wrong notes, right? So you have to kind of break free from that. And she used this phrase that I really liked. She said, let your spirit soar. You have to let your spirit soar, and you have to soar as in fly, right? You have to let go of the your anxiety about people judging what you're playing, and try to just go for how your spirit moves you. And I thought that was probably Dennis. I know you're very much an expert in theater. Do you feel like that advice applies to acting?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
People, go
you
ahead.
have to engage the character and give yourself over to the spirit of the character.
Mm-hmm.
No, I mean, I totally understood when I heard it on your interview.
Mm-hmm.
I totally got that.
Yeah, and that fear, actually, and any of the times that I've been sort of had these little opportunities where I'm supposed to say a line, like if one of my students is recording a video for their class, they're like, "Here, Dr. Selfridge, say this line," and when I'm quote acting, which I don't really have much experience in, getting past that self-consciousness of, oh, I sound dumb when I'm saying this. I think that's the hardest part for an actor, probably, at the beginning.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yep.
So it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool advice that applies in a lot of situations, probably. Okay. I'm going to answer another question. First, I'm going to say hi to Mason. Mason says hi. Hi, Mason. I'm going to answer Leonardo's question about minor scales, and then I'm going to play some more songs that have been requested. Okay. How does a minor scale on flute work? Well, a minor scale works the same way regardless of the instrument you're playing. It's the theory behind it is the same. The notes are the same. The fingers you have to press down might be different depending on your instrument, but the theory and the notes of what a minor scale is the same for no matter what instrument. So here is, I wonder if my overhead camera will work here. Boom. Okay. So here is, I'm going to take the comment off the screen so I can move my keyboard more into camera. Okay. So I'm going to put my little face over here. Hello. So, all right, really crash course on minor scales. So, what makes a scale unique? What gives each type of scale its unique sound? Major scale, minor scale. You can get into other scales called Dorian and Mixolydian, those modes. What makes scales sound unique is the combination of half steps and whole steps as you move up and down from your tonic note or your center of gravity. So if we play on a C on a piano keyboard, and C is our center of gravity, let's say, and we just go from C, all white keys, up to this C, it sounds like this. Here we go. I'm going to go up here. So we went right up the musical alphabet. C, D, E, F, G. In music, we don't go any higher in the alphabet than G. We have to start over again. A, B, C. That's a major scale. Now, there's a particular combination of what we call whole steps and half steps, because every time we skipped over a black key, that's called a whole step, because a half step is the shortest distance you can go. So a whole step would be skip over this key. Okay, so if we analyze the formula of what whole steps and half steps we had, here we go, ready? The first one, C to D, is a whole step. So whole step, whole step. Look at this, it's a half step. Half step, here we go. Whole step, whole step, whole step, half step to end it. So the major scale is whole, whole, half, whole, 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 half. Now, what's kind of cool is if we just take our major scale, our C major scale, and we keep all of the white keys, right? And we just shift our focus. So instead of starting and ending on C, we're going to go down one, and we're going to go down another one. So now we're going to play the same exact white keys, but we're going to start and end on A, which is the sixth note of the scale. Okay, here we go. That is what we call natural minor. And it's really sort of just like a sibling or a relative of the major scale. So we took the major scale, and we simply started and ended in a different place. We shifted our center of gravity down, 1, 2. We shifted it down to the 6th note, and now we have A natural minor. And you could go through and you could analyze the half steps and whole steps that are created. Whole step, half step, whole step, half step, whole step, whole step. So there's your natural minor formula, okay? On the flute, I'm trying to make this not a super long answer, but hopefully all of this is making sense, everybody. On the flute, it's no different. It's the same music theory. We just have to know our flute notes. So say we practice a C major scale on the flute. That's C major. Now I'm going to keep all the same notes, but I'm just going to start on an A and end on a high A. And that's called natural minor. So folks, just out of curiosity, let me know if, well, maybe you already knew that, but let me know if that made sense, okay? All right. I do want to make sure I say hello to our friend Mike. Hi, Mike. How are you? And I see from your comment that you are recuperating after being rushed into the hospital a week past Friday. So, Mike, well, first of all, I'm sorry that you had that. I bet that was not fun and scary and all those things. But I'm really happy that you're online with us and you say that you are recuperating. And you got to do what doctor says, and that's not me. For music, you can listen to my advice, but for your health, you should listen to your medical doctor, right? And you're on the mend. That's great news. Going to take a few months. Okay, so you make sure you take it easy, and keep on that good path. Okay, so let's real quick play "You Are My Sunshine" from our friend who requested that. And I do want to say hi to Jacqueline. Hi, Jacqueline. Good friend of ours from Philadelphia. Jacqueline, I'm curious, was the storm, I heard the storm wasn't too bad in Philly, but I'm curious. Just let me know how everything worked out for you. Our other friend checked in to let me know about school starting and what part of the country. Here it is. Stephen. Stephen says, Mississippi. We start school in August. Okay, so I assume maybe, Stephen, you guys finish up by like the end of May, probably. Okay, let's go back to, I want to do this request. I keep promising, so I'm going to do it. Let's see. You Are My Sunshine. I don't know what Annabelle is, but I'm going to play the You Are Sunshine that I know, and you let me know how this is. So you are my sunshine, my only sunshine, you make me happy. This is a song that is contained entirely within a major scale. It's called diatonic, meaning I could pick any major scale I want and I could play this. So, that's not the key I was singing in, but I'm going to do it in saxophone D major. You Are My Sunshine. Okay, here's another quick thing. When you're learning songs by ear, to really do a song by ear, I've talked about this a lot, maybe to the point where it's boring at this point, but you figure out songs by ear by knowing your do, re, mi scale. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. And you take that major scale and you start to map onto it all of the songs that you would like to be able to play. And you start simple, like hot cross buns, mi, re, do. And if you know that hot cross buns is mi, re, do, that means you have the power now to play that song in whatever key you want. Any major scale you learn, you've got a new way to play hot cross buns. So, You Are My Sunshine. I already lost the key. There it is. So, You Are My Sunshine does not start on do. It starts on sol, do, re, mi. So it starts on so, or sol, as sometimes we say. It's like so or sol. It's kind of the same thing. Sol, do, re, mi, mi, re, mi, do, do. Do, re, mi, fa, la, sol, fa, mi. Do, re, mi, fa, La, sol, fa, mi, do, do, re, mi, fa, re, mi, do. Okay? It's hard. What do I want to say? That might have seemed really difficult if you've never done it before, but the more you do it, it's actually not that difficult of a skill to develop. Here we go. I'm going to put a nice little echo on me. Hello, hello. Here we go. There we go. You are my sunshine. Let's see. Okay. So Jacqueline says, "Hi, Dr. Selfridge. The storm wasn't bad for me at all. That's great. Great news." Okay. Hi to Pepsi Cola for just joining us now. Outside with Quad. How can I create my own alto sheet music? There are numerous ways. So the old-fashioned way is to print out or buy a notebook of staff paper. You can buy a manuscript book of staff paper. You can go to search on Google free blank sheet music or free blank staff paper, and there's lots of websites that allow you to pick what you want. You can download a PDF and print it out. Let's see. But I think probably what you're asking for is how do you create music like on a computer? So there are a number of resources. There is, just in order that I'm thinking of them, flat.io from, I think Google owns it now. So flat.io. I'm going to go ahead and open that and show you. So if you look at my flat.io, there I am, my flat.io account, you can already see I've got a lot of projects. Let me say hello up here. Okay. This is flat.io, and I have the free version. I haven't upgraded, so I'm at my max of 15 scores that I've used for various things in school. Let's see. Here's one, pentatonic melody. So here we go. This is, I think, for my music theory class, we were doing something with this for people to create their own songs with taking an instrument, making it play a melody with chords. So this is, you can just literally type here, right here. Isn't that cool? And I could change this note. Right? So that's how you do it. And there's different ways. You know, if I wanted to change this into an eighth note, I go up here and I click the eighth note. That changes it into an eighth note. It takes some practice to figure out all of the ins and outs of how to create what you want through these online programs. But flat.io is a great one. MuseScore is another free one. And actually, if you go on there, it's almost, MuseScore is almost like a sort of like a Wikipedia of music, sheet music, where people can write their own scores, their own sheet music, and they upload it, and it becomes part of the online free library to look at what other people have arranged. So there we go. This is called flat.io. You can write your own sheet music with it. It's a lot of fun. There's a free version and a paid version. I just use the free version for now, but it's a lot of fun to create your own sheet music. Here's a little example of something I created. There's a little sample of just a little pentatonic melody that I created. All right, fun stuff. Let's get back to more requests. So outside with Quad, let me know if that seems like it answered your question, or if you think that might work for you, that website. Okay. Leonardo, I'm going to say hello to Leonardo. I did answer Leonardo's minor scale question. Let's see. Wow, Mason is asking for some classic concert band songs or pieces, as we say. You know, in concert band and orchestra and things like that, typically we don't use the word song as much. We'll say, we're going to play this piece of music, or this composition, or this work. But anyway, can I play Moscow in 1941 or Blue Ridge Reel on clarinet or saxophone? Thank you for giving me all those options to help let me pick what I kind of am most feeling like playing right now. I think I'm going to go take you up on Blue Ridge Reel, which is a really fun concert band piece by Brian Balmages, who's one of the greatest composers for concert band around. Very popular composer. I'd say, you know, his music has probably appeared on just about every middle school, elementary school, high school band concert almost everywhere in the country at some point. Okay, so Blue Ridge Reel, clarinet. I'm just going to see if I can find a PDF of it. Let's see. Yep. So as I've mentioned before, here we go. There we go. When you are looking for sheet music to play certain songs, hold on, I'm just going to fix something on my computer real quick. My GarageBand is bouncing around. Okay, we're back. So when you folks out there joining us on our live stream, when you request a concert band piece like this, it's sometimes a little bit harder for me to find because they're published. And woo, hello. See, I squeaked. No, it's not just beginners. Everybody squeaks sometimes, especially if you're not warmed up. So anyway, I was fortunate enough, I found this little sample of this here, so I'm going to play some of it. This is a fun song. It's normally played in a cut time. So this C with a line through it is called cut time. Cut time just means it's 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 4, but the 1 2 3 4 gets to a tempo. 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 4 1. It gets to a tempo where it becomes uncomfortable to tap your toe, or it becomes awkward for a conductor to conduct 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 4. So we switch over to something called cut time, where the beat starts to fall on the half notes. 1 3 1 3, bum bum, 1 2 3 4, dun 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 dun. And then eventually we start to count it just 1 2 1 2, but really it's 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 4. That's the way I help my students do cut time. So anyway, here we go. 1 2 1 2. And there's more to it. It's a really fun song. That main theme carries through, and then there's like a theme 2 that comes in, and there's a lot of interweaving parts in the different parts of the ensemble. It's a lot of fun. There's a cool percussion part that's like dun, ticka, dun, ticka, dun, ticka, dun, ticka, dun. Very energetic. And you know, kind of coincidental that you made that request, because the whole melody of that song is based on what's called a pentatonic scale. And sort of coincidentally, I was just showing you on, what's that called? Flat.io. I was showing you how a pentatonic melody that I created in my music theory class. So, pentatonic scale. That's a whole topic we could talk about sometime. The pentatonic scale is a lot of fun. It sounds really cool. And it's very useful. Okay. Thank you to my friend Shrek/official Pug Channel. I appreciate that. Okay. We got a lot of requests in here. I'm going to try to find a question before I do another request. I have to do, I have all requests at this point. So for our good friend Mike, who is having a tough time tough patch, recovering. I'm going to definitely play this for you, Mike. I get this request a lot. It's a really beautiful song. I don't mind playing it at all. This is another song. Let me find this. I want to play this with a nice play along. So I know Mike knows the answer, but I wonder if anyone else in the chat knows the answer. Which musician was very, very famous and sang this song? And it became, actually late in his career, this became a hit for him. See if you can name that musician. I'm going to find a nice play along here. Let's see. This is a song that gets played a lot. Okay, I don't like that play along. I'm going to look up alto sax. Even I know how to play it, but maybe this might give me a good play along track. This song's played a lot in New Orleans. All right. Track I'm using. Backing track. Oh, all right. Very nice. Nice play along track. Nice. It had, had the chords in there, but also had like a really neat sort of obligato jazzy guitar in the background. That was really neat. Okay. And Robert has checked in and says, "Wonderful World. I play it daily." It's a great song. And Robert says hello to everybody. Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Leonardo. Yeah, I don't know if you noticed as I was playing, the only part I didn't love about, I did okay that time, but the only part I was not too happy with was, if I'm not fully warmed up and I don't get a chance to, you saw me adjusting my mouthpiece. Did anyone notice I was pulling my mouthpiece out a little bit? And there's a reason for that. Does anyone know what reason would I be adjusting my sound by pulling the mouthpiece out a little bit. There's a specific reason for it. And there's a whole explanation I go through with my students to help them remember how to make the correct adjustment. But I'm going to see if anyone gets that in the chat. What is the reason that I had to pull my mouthpiece out a little bit when I was playing? Let's see here. Okay. How about some more requests? Leonardo says, I start school on August 22nd. Great. So Leonardo, just curious where you're, whereabouts in the world you're watching from. Don't give me a specific city or anything. I'm just curious where you're watching from. Okay, so we have people coming in the chat. Kaushik says tuning. Yes, tuning. So I don't know if you could hear when I started playing some of those high notes, I was going sharp, where the tuning is just a little bit. It's sharp means the note that I'm playing, the frequency was a little bit too high than matching what it's supposed to be perfectly in tune. So the way yes. Robert got it right. Yeah, flat. I was making my sound flatter because I was too sharp. And Concert Mustan says, "Thank you for. I appreciate that compliment. Makes me feel good." So here's what I tell my students. Yes, tuning, and like I said, Robert got it correct that I was flattening my sound. So here's what I say to my students. Ready? When an instrument, the shorter an instrument gets, think about a flute, short, or a piccolo. The shorter instruments play higher or lower notes. The answer is they play higher notes. Longer instruments, think like a long trombone or a tuba. The longer the instrument gets, it plays lower. So the longer the vibrating column of air, the lower the pitch. So I say, okay, to my students, all right, so if you're trying to tune your instrument and you're finding that you're sharp, does that mean that you are too, or if you're sharp, does that mean you're too high or you're too low? Sharp means you're too high. So does that mean your instrument is too short or too long? The answer is you're slightly too short. If you want to make your instrument from being sharp to be down in tune, you have to make your instrument a little bit longer. So that's why we pull the mouthpiece out, or we pull the tuning slide out a little bit. So I always used to get mixed up when I was a kid, or when I was younger, I should say, trying to remember, oh, I'm flat. Do I push in? Do I pull out? What do I do? Think about it that way. If you're sharp, that means your sound is a little bit too high, which means your instrument is a little bit too short. You have to make your instrument a little bit longer, whether that's your tuning slide or your mouthpiece pulling it out a little bit. And then the opposite is, if you're flat, you're under the pitch, you're too low slightly, that means your instrument is slightly too long. You need to find a way to make your instrument slightly shorter, and that's why we have the tuning slide. We push our tuning slide in, or we push our mouthpiece in, or in the clarinet, you push your barrel in or out, or whatever is the appropriate way on your instrument to adjust your tuning. That's how you get your instrument in tune, and that's how you remember what is the correct way to go when I'm trying to get in tune. So when you're sharp, you need to make your instrument longer. When you're flat, you need to make your instrument shorter. That's the way we can tune our instruments with the length of our instrument. But of course, if you're there might be other reasons that you're out of tune. Like being sharp could be because your embouchure is a little bit too tense and tight, or on flute, it could be the angle that you're blowing into the flute can affect your sharpness or flatness. If your sound, if your note is flat, which means under pitch, it could be because you're not using the proper support of your embouchure, you're not properly supporting your airflow. There's all these things that go into being in tune. But assuming that your embouchure is correct, your airflow is correct, and all of your other technique is working correctly, the way we remember which way to adjust our instrument length is, if you're sharp, I said it a million times. Okay, you have it. Okay, let's go to questions or maybe another song. The high A on the flute that has 4 ledger lines above the music staff. Okay, so Leonardo, here's what we do, because I sort of know this. I'm going to fully admit my super high notes on the flute I need to practice. But what I do is, if I'm not 100% sure, I go flute. What do I Google? Everybody should know this. If you're trying to look up how to play a certain note, what's the phrase you look up? Your instrument plus the phrase fingering chart. Okay? And there's 100 of them you could choose from online. So here's a website. What is this? Amro Music. Okay? You want to make sure it's a legit website. Looks like maybe it's a music teacher's website, or it might be a music store, or like some official, maybe like the United States Marine Band might have a website with resources. A legit site that looks like it's likely to have the right information for you. Okay, so here's what we do. We look, we zoom in. All right, so the note you're looking for is this note right here. A, way up here, and you're right, 4 ledger lines, 1, 2, 3, 4, and it's above that. So we look at the little chart here. Oops, let me move up so you can see. Here we are. So I talk about home keys all the time in my beginner lessons. Home keys means every one of your fingers on a woodwind instrument has a key that it belongs to. And so this right here on a fingering chart, this is a little picture of all the keys that your fingers go to for their home keys. So this is your thumb. So look at this. They want your thumb pressing down the longer key, which is right here. I know it's hard to see. I'll zoom in a second. But anyway, you got your thumb here. And then on your left hand on top, they want just your second finger. See how that's colored in there? And then on your right hand, the bottom hand, they just want your first finger. And then they want the pinky. And that's going to be a high A. So I'm going to come back here so you can see my fingers. Thumb. Home keys, just your second finger. Home keys, just your first finger. And home keys, just your pinky here. So it's always good when you're going for a super high note on the flute or the trumpet or any instrument. You want to have in your ear what you're aiming for, because that really affects whether you're going to be successful or not. So I'm going to play an A here. So I'm looking for a really high version of that sound. I have to make my aperture really focused. It's in there. I should have given a volume warning on the microphone. That's another note you really have to be warmed up to make sure you're getting the right aperture, pointing your air at the right spot on the flute. Embouchure plate. The embouchure plate. Okay. Robert says saxophone is sensitive to the angle of your mouth. Yeah, that's another thing that can affect intonation and things like that. Yeah, saxophone is different. A lot of the I'm going to take just this is my neck and mouthpiece. Sometimes when people are switching between clarinet and sax, it's important to realize, sometimes people don't realize that the angle of the mouthpiece is different. So for clarinet, the mouthpiece is supposed to come down at sort of a 40, I don't know what kind of degree angle that is, but like that. So the clarinet shouldn't be like this. Right? Hear how that changed the pitch really, really severely? And it shouldn't be way in. That's also not good. It's kind of right here. Right? Now the saxophone should not be down like this, like a clarinet. Just like Robert said, the saxophone should be pretty much straight out. Not like that, but it's straight out with a slightly downward angle. Just looking at my camera to make sure. That is the saxophone playing angle. Oh boy. Okay, here is a question I've been asked before, and I have a couple different ways of answering this, and I always try to like collect my thoughts, and because it can be confusing, right? So the question is, why is it that some instruments are transposed? Why does it have to be B flat or clarinet or trumpet instead of C? Well, we do have C trumpets. There are trumpets that are pitched where a C is a C. So let me put it this way. One reason we have transposing instruments, here's one reason. So for families of instruments, like saxophones. You've got a soprano sax, you have an alto sax. So the soprano sax covers the range at the top of the piano. The alto sax, which is a little bit longer, covers the middle high range, right? And then the tenor sax, which is twice as long as the soprano sax, covers the sort of like the middle lower range. And then the bari sax, which is twice as long as the alto, is like down there, right? So you've got 4 types of saxophones, all different lengths, although 2 of them are in a ratio of, doubled. So if they all played in concert key, your keys on your soprano, if you learned your alto sax notes, when you switch to tenor sax, you'd have to learn a whole new set of fingers, because you just have to learn a whole new set of fingers. But what transposing does is it allows a person to jump from soprano, alto, tenor, bari. It's all the same fingers, and the sheet music is transposed to make it fit the orchestra. So the person who has to know about transposing is the composer. The person playing the sheet music doesn't really have to understand transposing really quickly. I mean, you should know that you're a transposing instrument, but you don't have to transpose mentally every note. The composer or the arranger does that for you and writes the sheet music down. That's a partial answer. There's a longer answer of why certain instruments developed to be in a transposed key. But there's a partial answer for you. Maybe I'll play a song. Do 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 do. Here's a question. Do I use Tom Play for backtrack? I think I've heard that name before, but I don't 100% know. So no, I don't think I've really used it. I don't use it on a regular basis. I've heard of it for sure. Is that like something online, or is it like an app you need to buy or something like that? So, Hey Jude. All right, here I'm going to take this challenge. Hey Jude, I don't play a lot on the trumpet. I might regret this. Hey Jude, trumpet sheet music. Let's see. I haven't played trumpet today at all. So trumpet, got to get your lips vibrating. Make sure my valves are working. That's always not fun when you're trying to play a song and your valves stick. So let me see this sheet music if it's playable for me. Trumpet, clarinet, lower key. Let's see. Okay, I think I can do this. There's more to it, but we're just about out of time. So actually, okay, I kind of surprised myself a little bit there. Sometimes I pick up the trumpet, and again, I'm way far from a professional on the trumpet, but sometimes I pick up the trumpet and it kind of works, it's kind of feeling okay. But what happens is if I try to do that for another 15 minutes, my lip muscles quickly quickly get tired because you really, you know what, I explain to my students, one of the reasons you got to practice every day, it's the same reason if you want to be, really strong and athletic. If you want to be a weightlifter, you have to lift weights every day or every other day or whatever, on a regular basis, because you need to build up that strength. And if you don't, it's literally muscles here that start to lose their strength, and you can't sustain a full concert that you might need to play with your band. So that's that. Okay, so a lot of great requests coming through, folks, and we're actually out of time. Really quick, Pepsi Cola. It's hot here in Alabama. How is it here? I guess it feels like it's like in the 80s. When I was in New Orleans, I'm going to check my weather app. When I was in New Orleans, it was hot. Very, very hot. Okay, so it's 86 right now, and it's also kind of a little bit humid out. Not too bad. Last week was really, really nice. The storm came through and just kind of brought in this sort of nice, sunny, after the storm, nice, sunny, cool summer weather. So we are all done with requests because I am out of time. But what I do want to say is bring Dennis in here. Dennis, we are wrapping up, so thank you so much for another great show.
Oh, you're very welcome. You've got a lot of different, interesting requests.
A lot of great requests, a lot of great questions. MB is just checking a little bit late. MB says hello, late today. Didn't have any questions. Thank you, MB. So Dennis, thanks for what's that?
You may want to remind the people that you didn't get to their requests to try them next week.
Of course. Thank you for that reminder. And yeah, so folks, I do apologize that I love having so many people here in the chat. I love all the requests, but that also means that I don't have time to get to all of them. So please bring your requests next week. And Dennis, you'll be here next week, will you?
I will.
Okay. So everybody, on behalf of Dennis and Teresa in the chat, and Joe, who couldn't be here today, he's off on an adventure. Maybe he'll tell us about it next time. But thank you, everyone, for Honey Dreams. There we go. Good to see everyone. A lot of good friends here. And please let everyone, let people that might be interested in this live stream. We're here every week. It's 3 p.m. Eastern Time, and answer questions and take requests and all that stuff. So thanks again for another great week. And yeah, come back again next week. And between now and then, make sure you practice. Okay, everybody? Have a great week. Have fun. And I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.